it's Melissa. In this video, I am going to take you start to finish on how to print DTF transfers on your Epson 2100. So if you are familiar with this machine as a DTG printer where you put the shirt in and then print directly on it, good news is it also prints transfers so that you can make and sell DTF transfers as well as obviously garments that have DTF on there. So one of the benefits of DTF over DTG is you do not need to use pre-treated shirts. So you've got some flexibility there. Now, this is a relatively straightforward process. I will tell you that the first time that you do this, you are going to have a couple of extra steps, namely in the software where we are going to have to set up a preset for printing on DTF film. I am using Kodak film and I would recommend it. There are other brands on the market, other brands I have here in my studio as well, and I've used all of them, but for the simplicity of printing on the Epson 2100, the Kodak film is great because I already have kind of dialed in the settings for you. It took a bunch of testing, but I can give them to you, and then you'll be looking at getting prints that are really great right out of the gate, okay? All right, so let's head over to the software. We're gonna start there, and by the end, we will have a shirt just like this.
All right, so you've got Garment Creator launched and you are ready to go, but you're not quite ready to go. So if you are doing your first direct to garment, you are going to need to create a preset. So the preset is obviously the print settings, and Garment Creator comes with five default presets, but they're all for direct to garment. We need to make one for direct to film. So before you can even do that, you need to make sure that you have downloaded and installed that little extension that will allow you to change the ink order. So if you haven't done that yet, you're gonna go to epson.com/2100, and under the support tab, there will soon, at the time of this recording, it's not here, but there will be a new, like basically an extension here that will allow you to unlock what you need for direct to garment. Okay, so you're gonna make sure you have that. Then once you open up Garment Creator, you'll know you have that because under white management, you'll have this thing here that says ink order. Now, in order to create the preset, we need to do a couple of things, and this is very important. It only really needs to be done once. So what you're going to do is you are going to start by picking dark colored t-shirt standard. So this is just the DTG option, but we are going to change it and then we're going to save a new preset. All right, so what you want to do is you want to change these are the suggested settings from Epson. I will tell you that you are going to have to tweak them depending on the DTF film that you are using, but we'll get to that in the next step. So start by doing this. Dark colored t-shirt standard. Okay, then you want to change the print quality to a print quality of 1. And then what you're going to do is you're going to expand the white print quality and you're going to uncheck double strike print. Okay, so now what you have is level 1 for print quality for white and color quality also level 1. Okay, then you're going to move down here to ink density and you are going to adjust this to color. You are going to put as 15%. White you are going to put as negative 15%. Okay, and then the last thing that you want to do here, two more things actually, ink order. So we need to reverse the ink order. So first we want to print color and then we want to put the white on top of that. That's what we need for direct to film because the white is going to go, with DTF, you're going to mirror your image and then flip it onto your shirt. So you need the color down first so that that's basically on top, and then the white layer goes on top of that, but when you flip it over, the white is actually on the bottom. Okay, and then you're going to change reduce white area to 3. Okay, and what you're going to do from here is you are now going to click the plus sign, and then you're going to name this DTF preset. DTF created preset. Okay, this is just going to be the generic film. so that you know. This is always your base, okay? All right, so you have that there. Now you see I have a different one, and I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. But before we get to that, we're going to go over to layout settings. And we are also going to, you probably don't have these other ones here. So we're going to create one, all right? We're going to start with default layout setting. You want to change it to top alignment, okay? Doesn't look like a whole lot has happened, but it has. That little line moved up to the top. And then you want to make sure you're on the correct platen. I'm using the medium platen that came with the printer. And then you want to flip your image. So even though you don't have an image on here, you can flip it. And then the same thing, you can click plus and then create your preset. I'm not going to do it because I actually already have two different ones which are both the same, okay? Now what you're going to do is you are going to have the ability when you import your when you start a new work area with your image for direct to film, you can use that preset. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you are using Kodak color film, the cold peel DTF from Kodak, which I really like that film, but I found that I needed to tweak the settings a little bit, okay? These are the settings that I adjusted to. So if you are printing and you are noticing 1, banding, 2, the resolution is not to what you're liking, 3, the colors are dull, you are probably going to need to print a color print quality sheet and then adjust from there, okay? Or a print chart, excuse me. All right, which is what I did. And then from those settings, I created a slightly tweaked DTF preset specifically for Kodak. All right, so these are the settings that I then adjusted to. I left the speed at 1, but I increased the level to 3. This increased the resolution. I was having too many little dots. I did not like the way that it was coming out. I changed the print direction to unidirectional instead of bidirectional. So this does cause the printer to print more slowly, but I got a much better quality print. And then the print chart showed me that really the color shouldn't be 15 and -15 for this type of film, but -15 and 0 actually worked better. And so once I made those adjustments, I then added did the plus sign and made basically a second DTF, and this one is specific for Kodak. So if you are using Kodak film, this is my suggestion. This took a lot of testing, and I did it for you basically. I cannot guarantee that these settings will work for other brands of film, but I would suggest that if you have a different type of brand, a different brand of film, or you are brand new to DTF and you're using something other than Kodak, go with those presets that Epson recommends, which is the ones that I had you build here. All right. Okay. Now we are ready. You don't have to do that every time. This is just the first time that you are doing DTF. You need to create the settings. Okay. All right. So now we are ready. We are going to tell it that we are using, I'm using Kodak. I'm using DTF printing, and I will bring all of that in. You can see that my settings are here. Everything is as I had it, okay? Now I'm going to open up my file. So I'm gonna go to open. My file it's this one here, which comes in a little wonky, so you'll just have to work with me on that. And oh, there, it didn't come in too wonky. Okay, so it's kind of small. I'm actually going to zoom in so I can get a better idea of how big it is. So each of these blocks here is 1 inch. So I know this is 2, 4. So this is about 4.5 inches. So depending on the size garment that you have, depending on if you're using it for pocket or a full front, you will want to adjust the scale of your design by selecting it and then pulling in or out the corner. Okay, so now I've got it. It's about 2, 4. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so here's my design. It has automatically been mirrored because we are on the DTF printing. However, it doesn't really matter for this one because it doesn't have any text or anything that would indicate that it was printed in one direction, and it doesn't require to be printed in one direction or the other. Now, one thing that you need to keep in mind is this is the platen area. your film, I'm using A3 film. It does not cover the entire platen area. So if you have a large design, make sure you don't have it all the way to the edge, because I'm assuming that your DTF film also is not 14 inches wide or 16, whatever. Most DTF film is not going to cover the entire area. So just be aware of that. I'm also putting mine obviously straight closer to the top, but you could position it wherever you want. I like to put it at the top, and then, you know, you can trim the rest of the DTF film off and print on that later, okay? All right, so this is now ready to go. What you need to do is move over to the printer, and we'll set it up there before we send this to print.
Okay, so here we are over at the Epson 2100. Now, for DTF, you want to make sure that your platen is pretty high. So you want to be on like basically a 1. Just use the little gray lever down there and push it basically to the left so that you're on a 1. You'll hear it click, okay? And then you're going to take your DTF film. Now, this is where I was talking about that it doesn't extend to either completely to either side. On this one, there's about, I would say, a full inch on each side. So that's why you need to be very careful in the software to make sure that you are not having an image that is completely edge to edge, or you will end up with ink over here, which is not a huge deal, but you won't be able to use your image. Now, one thing that you can do, obviously, if you don't want to rotate your design, you could obviously put your transfer, your DTF transfer this way, and then just trim. You don't want a whole lot hanging off. It's gonna, you know, hit or fall. Okay. What you do want to do is make sure this is Kodak film, as I was telling you that I was going to use. The only thing I don't love about this film is that both sides look very similar. It's difficult to tell which side to print on, and several times I've printed on the wrong side. I will tell you, if your print comes out and it looks like a soupy mess, that means you printed on the wrong side, okay? So what you have here, you want to make sure that the shiny side is down. The more cloudy if you can feel kind of a rough side, that's the side that needs to be up. Okay, and you want to basically center it on the platen and have it right to the edge. Now, if you have room to tape it, you can tape it down on either side. I actually don't even tape, and it's been fine. Okay, so we're just going to leave it there, and then from the software, I am just going to click print. You're going to see it's going to spool, and then it will begin printing. Okay, once it processes and the data is sent over, then you know that this is going to light up as it does, and that is going to be when I send it to print. Now, it is going to tell me, place your shirt and then press the button to print. Obviously, we're not putting a shirt because we are doing DTF, so I will just press that, and the platen will go in, and then the printing will begin. Again, first with the color, and then the white will go on top. Now, while we're waiting for this to print, couple things I want to remind you. After the transfer comes out, it is going to be wet ink. You need to be very, very careful keeping the transfer film level, and then you need to cover it with powder, the DTF curing powder, and then place it in a curing oven to cure. So make sure your curing oven is on. You want it at about 120 Celsius and about 120 time. So about 2-minute time, 120 Celsius. You are also going to need a heat press if you are going to apply the transfer immediately. One of the great things about DTF is that once the ink is once the powder is cured, you can store, sell, whatever you want to do with those transfers. They don't need to be used right away. However, if you are going to use it right away, make sure your heat press is warmed up to about 310, and you'll need that for about 20 seconds to apply the transfer to the shirt. So this doesn't take long. Of course, we only have one transfer on here, so it's just going to take a minute or so to print. As far as DTF printers, especially because, as I mentioned to you with the Kodak film, I adjusted the preset specifically for this film to increase the resolution, and so this actually this is slower than what the Epson preset for or recommended preset for DTF would be. However, if you are familiar with other DTF printers, this one is actually relatively fast when it comes to desktop size. Some of them print super, super slowly, and it could take 8 minutes for a sheet to print. This will probably only take a minute or two, and we only have that one small one, of course. Now, one thing about this DTF printer though is it obviously cannot take rolls. So that means it cannot be set up with an inline system. So if you are looking for something for where you can print, you know, long gang sheets, the Epson 2100 is not going to be what you're looking for. Obviously the big benefit to the 2100 is, well, one of the big benefits I should say, is that it's both DTF and DTG, works on both Mac and PC. You can, you know, you have those 2 channels of white, so you're getting really, really good white quality, density, intense colors, everything. There's a lot to love about the 2100. You can't see, this is sitting on a desk. It obviously looks pretty big. It's a big printer, right? But it's still small enough that it's not taking over everything. So if you have a small shop, if you're working out of your garage, if you even have a studio in your home, this will fit into a corner. It's still got, you know, I have a 24 by 48 inch table that it's sitting on, and it's sitting on the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to this coming out. I do want to just remind you once again that you do want to make sure that you keep it very level as you move over to where you are going to powder. Now, I don't know if you can see, but this white has a pretty sheen on it. And that's because it's wet. All right, so that's why you want to be really careful. Now, this is what I was talking about, saving the rest of this transfer sheet. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and be very, very careful to cut, you know, maybe like an inch or so below. Trying not to lift this. You don't want the ink to move. Now, you're going to be very careful and move this over to where you are going to put on the curing powder. All right, so here we go. I have my film, and I like to put all of the curing powder, try to keep it on one side of the tray so that then I can just scoop it and be done. Now, you want to get excess off of there, but you again want to be careful that the ink is not going to move or, you know, spill basically. Okay, now we have the curing oven. You want to make sure that you're using a filter, okay? This is going to pull out any, you know, particles or anything from during the curing process, all right? So this is the oven I was telling you about. Whoops, make sure that stays on there. We'll put that back. So 2 minutes in here at 120 Celsius, okay? Keep that there. And the timer will start. And then what we're looking for is that powder to turn into like a waxy, it's gonna look like an orange peel texture. That's what we're looking for. And at that point, the transfer is completely dry. It can be applied to your garment, wherever you're gonna put it, okay? So this is just gonna take, like I said, about 2 minutes, and then that's it. We will do the last step, and you're gonna see how awesome these DTF transfers come out. All right, so when the timer goes off for this and we open it back up, it's going to be very, very hot. So I would suggest using, this is a glove that I use for sublimation. I would just suggest using something like this to protect your hand. And also, you don't want to scratch the surface of the heating oven, curing oven. So don't use anything sharp to pick it up, okay? All right, so we will move this out of the way. We will stop the timer. And we will remove our transfer. Now, like I said, what we are looking for is for this to be, it's going to be hard for you guys to see, I think, but we're looking for this to be like an orange peel type. There, if I kind of do it that way, you should be able to see. So on this side, look at that, right? So super, super great colors, really good quality, and it's ready to go on the shirt. So let's meet over there at the heat press, and we will apply it to our black shirt. This could obviously go on any color. That's the benefit of having the white on the back, but we are going to put it on black. All right, so final step. taking this transfer, and I have my heat press is already warmed up. As I said, you want that heat press to be about 320 for about 15 to 20 seconds is all you need to apply. Now, this is cold peel, which means that we need to let it completely cool before we peel the transfer film off, okay? Otherwise, it's going to start peeling the edge of the DTF transfer, and we don't want that. All right, so I'm just going to set it right there. You can tape it down if you want. I'm not even going to do that right now. And we'll just set that 20 seconds. This will start automatically. And then, like I said, we're going to wait for that to cool. It shouldn't take too long. It's not, the temperature is not terribly hot, and it's not under there for too long. But we definitely don't want to be impatient with this, or we will end up with a transfer that's kind of peeling. The last step after we take that transfer off is to do a final press, which will just put the transfer further down into the shirt, making it an even softer hand. All right, so let's take this off of here, let it cool, and then we'll peel it off. All right, so this is pretty cool already, so I'm just gonna peel that off, okay? And you can kind of see on the, there we go. Yep. See, so this basically has pre-treat on it, which is why you don't need to pre-treat. Now, what we're going to do now is one final press on this so that we get rid of that like kind of plasticky feel. We'll put that back on the heat press for a minute. Not a minute, about 15 seconds. All right, so we're going to do the final press. If you press with another shirt over top of it, you'll kind of get the grain of the shirt into... So that's it. So this is how you are going to make DTF transfers with your Epson 2100. It is really pretty quick, and I love the process. It gives you really good bold colors. I mean, that white on black there is really, of course you could do DTG with this, but if you don't have pre-treated shirts, or you want to just sell the transfer itself, the direct to film is a really great option. You can see you can do it in all different kind of sizes. I've done several of these just in the testing process. So I hope that all of that testing and all of those presets that I gave you guys will really help you get a jump start on this, because it does take a little fine tuning to make sure that you're getting the best quality prints, the best color, the highest resolution, all with also getting the best hand, stretchability, and washability. All right, you guys, if you're interested in more videos and tutorials on Epson's Garment Creator and the Epson 2100, I have lots of videos as well, so you can make sure you check them out in the rest of the playlist and also on the rest of my YouTube channel, and I'll see you around.